Hey, Johnny Monsarrat, how are you?
I am doing fantastic. I just filed two more patents pending. This is making six patents now. And I
Yeah.
just added a new advisor, Mike Ibarra. He was president of Blizzard, which
Wow.
before Microsoft purchased Activision Blizzard was one of
Wow.
the world's biggest game companies.
Are you kidding me? That's a pretty good day, except do patents ever go past pending? It feels like everyone's got
Eventually, yes. But if you're still starting your company, 20 years later when they expire, something else is going wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, before we keep on this path of chatter and catching up with each other, for my listeners, and welcome to the Look Back officially. Give us a little background on Johnny and where you've been playing up to this point.
Turbine was one of the big three original MMO game companies. So I arguably co-invented this new category of game that these days earns $24 billion a year.
Right.
Uh,
Massive multiplayer.
yeah,
Yes.
these are community games on the internet where you get to make a friend, not just play around by yourself. You get to join a team, and I kind of have done many other things, but now I'm back in gaming. And of course, that's how I met you through Ryan Baird.
That's great. Who, by the way, is having his big 1000X conference in Santa Clara. For those people that, want to attend, this is just an amazing event. And I love this. So check out 1000X event in Santa Clara. May not be perfect timing with this recording, Johnny, but I look forward to seeing you down there in person and catching up
Yeah,
there.
great. It's going to be fun.
So you sold this beautiful turbine, as I recall, to Warner, right?
I dropped out before the acquisition,
Yeah.
which is why I'm at a fundraising conference because I got a little bit. I didn't get nothing, but I'm not self-funding my new venture.
Right,
But I,
which I do want to get into. But you built this phenomenal
yes,
category
that's
of
right.
MMO, which I think is still hotter than July, and has a lot of exciting things going on in it. And you've also been doing some work with a lot of the other major brand players in the broadly categorized gaming space. Yeah.
Well, I have got a good career in games. At Turbine, I was the original founder, CEO, CTO, the first employee, the guy with the idea back in the day. And, as I was bragging, that's become a whole thing now.
Right.
And now I'm back in gaming, but this time I want to one up Pokemon Go.
Which is not an easy task. And now this is something you're playing around with, and you have been for a while. You're calling it Landing Party, right?
Yes, well, Lending Party is a little demo game. As
Okay.
my startup company grows and grows and grows, we now have a little product out that shows how the game works. And it's just different, but it's still outdoors.
Yes. Which reminded me a little bit of Go. Which, by the way, what happened to that? That was like the hottest thing, but it still had massive appeal, and then kind of just slid into the background.
Do you want to hear the secret?
Yes, I need
Do you
secrets.
want to know the secret? The secret is that Niantic, which makes Pokemon Go,
Yeah.
is not really a games company.
Huh.
They were spun out of Google Maps. And what they really want to do is make maps. So they had this $8 billion successful game, Pokemon Go, and they didn't really know what to do with it except
Huh.
add on some maps. And that's a strategic opening. And it
Yeah,
just happened.
why would you want to play with the gaming industry and billions of dollars of revenue potential when you can do maps?
Well, if you have a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. In fact, you asked me what my advice is for founders. If I can
Yes,
segue into that,
please go ahead.
people think that you have to have an idea to start a company. You really don't. If you read product reviews, they're full of ideas about what's bad about this or that product. I mean, that's your idea, right?
Yeah.
But finding a perfect match for your background. It just so happened that Pokemon Go's Stumble matched my background exactly. Because
Mm.
what they were bad at was storytelling and community, which, by the way, makes a lot of money. And Pokemon Go, on a per player basis, doesn't actually make that much money. It has weak economics. So they're walking uphill. It just so happens that my background perfectly matches a Stumble, which has become our strategic opportunity, making role playing games outdoors, not just catching creatures.
That's a great a segue from Go into what you're doing now. But let's get into the detail of, you mentioned storytelling. How do you build a great game? How do you build a great app? What are the key ingredients and what are the special additives that make it really special and different?
Well, it's like you're asking me, how do you make a movie? There's a lot that goes into it.
Sure.
But I can tell you that VR headset people think it's all about graphics. And there's nothing wrong with having better and better computer graphics. But really, people get hooked on a story, or they make friends in a community, or they find the gameplay compelling. And now I personally think that outdoor gaming, which Pokemon Go started, is a new type of platform like PC, console, arcade games, mobile, VR. Now we have outdoor gaming. But people want to do more outdoors than just collect stuff. When we were kids, we didn't spend all our time on Easter egg hunts. It gets boring, right? So we're ready for other game types, other genres of game.
Yeah.
Put those outdoors. Put role-playing games outdoors. And
Johnny,
it just so happens that kind of stuff has better economics, makes more money.
it's like our mom yelling at us today, going, "Get away from your computer, go outside and play games." And
Parents
now
love their kids to get
okay,
outdoors.
can I bring my phone?
That's right. That's right.
Well, this and so what signs are you seeing that make this a exciting category, the outdoor gaming? I think that's a very innovative opportunity, but what gives you the um, uh, sense that it's going to be successful and big besides Go, I guess? And then again, back to the point of, what are the key elements? What are the key ingredients to having the right team or the right technology or the right development?
Well, going back to money, if you add up all the VR apps, not just games, but all virtual reality, it adds up to about $3 billion in money earned. Whereas Pokemon Go just by itself has earned 8 billion, another hit game has earned 2 billion, and a bunch of other games all put together have earned another billion. So already AR is outpacing VR, despite VR being hyped a lot and VR being an older technology. I think just AR as a marketplace is taking off. And I think one of the keys is immersion. If you hear VR people talk about, oh, you're immersed in a world, but you're actually in your mom's basement with all the lights turned off, going, I'm at a party. Whereas in AR, it's true, man, the phone is smaller, right? There aren't as many pixels on the phone as with the headset. But if you're walking around in the real world, you are literally immersed. You might get an ice cream. You might see a person or a dog. You might smell the spring air. It's a better and I think more healthy kind of immersion because human beings are not built for sitting on our butts all day.
So you're looking at taking this to market with VR headsets or just through phone companies, or how does this all come together? Is there a separate hardware device element for landing party or whatever you're calling your new outdoor development?
But that is part of the magic. There's no headset required.
Right.
And it's a bit counterintuitive because you would think that with just the display on a tiny phone, you're walking around, all you can see is what's in the phone, and there's this world around you, but you're seeing it through this tiny window. You would think it wouldn't feel compelling. But the fact of the matter is it does. And we now have the videos and the press articles to prove it.
Right. Tell me, where are you at with this business, and what do you think are the most important parts of developing this business plan to get funding and to bring it to market?
Well, every startup is a bootstrapping process, right?
Yeah.
Now that we've finally lurched over the finish line and launched a demo game, now it's my job to raise funding and make that demo game a full game. How are we going to do that? Well, we have to impress investors. And one of the things that you do to impress investors is to overhaul your website, to make posts to LinkedIn, to make videos that show everyone loving what you're doing, to get press articles, and to form partnerships. So we're now in talks with Hollywood studios, with tech partners, with other media agencies about how we could work together. And that's all going to culminate, ideally, in having the funding to go to launch.
How are you feeling about the market today for funding?
Well, obviously, there's been a global dip, right? It's been about almost 2 years now since there was a downturn in games and really everywhere. But everyone expects the Fed to move interest rates, and it's all going to work out in the end. The thing is that you just have to compete harder. I mean, it's not rocket science. This money is still out there.
There's a
Just
ton of
have
money
to compete.
available. The ton of money available. I guess there's some questions about exit channels and how much velocity we're seeing over things like IPOs or M&As. And you're talking about creating a whole new category. So the
Yes.
venture cycle, which is about a 10-year from start to exit kind of model, seems to fit well within your parameters.
Well, I certainly hope so. Of course, there is some education.
Right.
Entrepreneurs like to do something new.
Yeah.
Something new is, by definition, kind of risky.
Yeah.
So you have to educate, you have to placate, you have to calm. Everything's going to be okay. Just give me the money.
You're right. You're 100% right. They're looking for things that are different. Category creation is huge.
Uh-huh.
Big revenue potential is huge. I think your experience developing, one Titanic kind of a hit should all be very strong in your favor.
Well, we seem to have the right team, the right advisors. We have a demo game. We have some patents. It's all really coming together, but I've still got to prove myself. That's the endless treadmill of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I think the patents are important. I also think the partners are important. My experience on the gaming side is that publishers, developers need those distribution partners. They hold a lot of the keys at getting the product, whether it's the online place. So who are the kinds of partners you're talking about? If you don't want to name names, is it because I heard Amazon, I think of Netflix, I think of Apple.
Sure.
I think of Nintendo and say Sony, of course, who you've had some experience with. Am I in the right areas,
You
or
sure are.
what do
A
you
lot of
find?
game companies will go to Hollywood to get a movie franchise and put that in their game, like Harry Potter or whatever.
Right.
A lot of companies will go to video game publishers, especially for distribution into Asia. They don't have any Asian connection, or just publishing or funding the game to begin with, or going to tech partners. Go to Facebook and try to work with their next Meta glasses.
Right.
We've got a partner called XReal, which actually is the global leader in AR consumer priced glasses.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I was at the last game developer conference. There are a lot of exciting companies in this industry. You have a lot of work to do.
Well, there sure are, but we seem to be on top of the heap, which I hope doesn't sound disconnected from reality. For
Yeah.
example, at Augmented World Expo, Forbes chose us to praise in their conference wrap up.
Good.
That's 5,000 attendees,
Yeah.
about 18 companies praised. We were the only startup. So
I think
we are on our way at our
you're on
current stage, which is pre-product.
you're on the right radars.
I don't want this to turn into a sales pitch. I think you wanted me to tell some fun stories and talk about lessons for entrepreneurs. Do you want to switch to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been trying to lead the witness down that path. So thanks for being more descriptive in terms of my intent.
Yeah.
Let's
Well,
know. What were your favorite stories in terms of building something on the path to success? What were those near death experiences or those game changers that you got to experience?
well, one time for my original company, we had a meeting with Microsoft, which ultimately did publish our game. They gave us $6 million in cash and services, and I didn't have a laptop. So I had to get my full-size desktop PC onto the plane. And passengers were literally laughing at me. We arrived at the conference. We met
That's
with
awesome.
Microsoft. I gave a fantastic demo, one of the first ever MMO game demos. And the guy said, "Isn't that Linux?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Why don't you port it to Windows and get back to me?" I'm like,
Well, we did,
"Oh,
you said I didn't want it to crash.
oh." I actually did once have a demo crash, but I swear to God, it wasn't the demo. Windows 95 crashed.
Yeah,
Swear to God. But of course, the investor thought it was my demo. Oh,
yeah.
well. What can we do?
Ouch. Okay, so that's a good story. I can only picture you boarding the plane with the big old what IBM or something a Dell computer. So how about some of those moments where big decisions coming, bringing a product to market, launch day, do we go live? We need to do an upgrade or the product has a huge bug in it. Give us something that rings the bell where you had a real challenge and how you dealt with it.
Well, you, I, I guess the first big transition for me was just moving from a hobby to a company. My original company, Turbine, was just originally just a hobby. My friends and I were making this cool game on the side while I was a grad student, but it just got bigger and bigger. We decided to use my mother's house as a staging point. We took over her living room, her basement, her family room. Then she moved out. She gave the whole house over to 12 people working until 4 in the morning. She just couldn't take it anymore and went to go live with her boyfriend for the summer.
That's
She did want the
hilarious.
house back eventually, and that's when we had to get an office and we had to get real. So I kind of transitioned from a coder to a CEO without really ever intending to do that.
Yeah, it's a good point though. A lot of times that is the path, right? You're bootstrapping, you're not sure it's a real business, and you bring some people together, then some more people, then the business starts to rock. And now you're a CEO and you got 10, 12 people. When you look back on that day, that time, um, besides maybe trying to get some funding and go have a real office, what was some of the real ahas that you go, "God, I wish we did this, that, or the other thing. We should have taken more time here or gone faster here." Does anything resonate with you on that level?
Well, I learned a lot of things, whereas, you have to do a lot more market research than you think. You have to genuinely just be an expert in what all the competitors are doing, which sounds obvious to you and me, but to a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't know that. To me, number one is just to over communicate. See, if you've got a friend who's late to meet you, and your friend is late by 5 minutes, it's no problem. Late by an hour, you start to worry. Late by a day, you're probably annoyed they didn't cancel. Maybe it could be dead. And it's the same thing with investors or the team that you're managing. If you over communicate and just tell them everything that's happening all the time, there's never this moment of darkness when they don't know what's happening, and people tend to assume the worst.
John, I totally double click on that one too, because one of my most frustrating things with the companies that I invest in, have in my portfolio, is I don't hear from them. Tell me the bad news first. Don't tell me it. Well, God forbid, let me find out separately about you just fired your co-founder, or you're out of
Yeah.
you're out of money, and now you want me to give you money. I hadn't talked to you in 2 years or something. It happens.
Another one, if I may, is
Yeah,
you have to use whatever makes you special. For example, I used to be a travel writer, and travel writers get free tickets to
I love it.
stuff.
Yep.
If you're a travel writer and you're starting a games company, how do you link those things together? Well, it turned out that I could use my ability as a travel writer to get free stuff, to get swimming with sharks, zip lining over Niagara Falls, swimming with dolphins, riding a World War II tank. And I used those kind of weird experiences that I got for free to make viral videos.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
I'm making a game that gets you moving,
Yeah.
and that's kind of a comedic parody. I'm pretending to show the game to sharks, to show the game to monkeys. A monkey stole my phone, by the way. I got it back, though.
What did you have to do?
Well, I was in the UK going through one of these safaris where you travel in a car. I
Okay.
had my phone on a selfie stick and I had it out the window and I was pretending to show it to the monkey for the video, right? The monkey starts to grab it. And simultaneously, I thought, I'm going to lose my phone, but also, this is going to be great. And sure enough, the monkey took my phone and I was like, hey, monkey, I want that phone back.
Did he keep recording? Because that would have been a great
I kept
video.
recording. I had a girlfriend, a long suffering girlfriend who shot the whole thing, and the zookeepers went in there and got the phone, and the monkey chewed off the corners of the phone,
Oh boy.
but it was otherwise fine. And of course, you'll see that video on the website, so forth.
That is too great. What's the website, by the way, Johnny? Share that with us.
It's Monsarrat.com.
Okay. I'll,
Monsarrat. You'll see it on the notes for this podcast, I'm sure.
exactly. I was just going to offer to do that, of course. Okay, so I want to wrap up a little bit, but I know you have so many other fun stories. Any other cheat codes for the
Yeah.
gaming folks, but also just the entrepreneurs, founders, the next wave of people that I have trying to do something similar to where you are today, but could leverage some of your experience.
In the Iraqi war, like the original one 30 years ago, they gave the military playing cards with the faces of all the bad guys, all the generals they wanted to find and capture in the civilian population. So as you're playing poker or gin rummy or go fish, you're seeing all these photographs and trying to spot the generals out in the field. Well, if I go to a conference, I can see who the speakers are, and a lot of them are people I want to meet. And the
Yes.
ones that respond on LinkedIn, great. The ones who ignore me, I make a little card with a face on it and a description of their name, what they do we have LinkedIn connections, what I'm supposed to say. And it's not physical. I'm just flipping photos on my phone, but I have these photos of all the people and I'm looking around to see if I can spot. And you know what? It really works. And I have spotted in the hallways a whole bunch of potential partners and investors this way.
That's hilarious. I also see a game in that somewhere.
Oh, a terrible game. The game of chasing money. And
Chasing money. That's the game.
Oh God. that's my sequel game.
I bet you have a bunch of sequel ideas
Oh my
already.
God, probably.
Okay. Parting comments, thoughts?
Well, I guess the most important thing about being an entrepreneur to me is that there's no way around it. You have to be good at sales. I don't like sales. Does anyone really like putting, bragging all the time and so forth? But similar to job hunting, you can't get a job without selling yourself a little bit. You just can't start a company without being able to sell it. And if you're not that person, you got to find a partner who can do it for you. A lot of tech entrepreneurs, they've got plenty of good common sense, but you also have to have at least something of this weird, loud American waving my arms personality, because you project energy, you sell, not in a phony way, but you just have to convince people. That's basically what a CEO does.
Trying to provide them entertainment. You're trying to provide them with something out of their dreary lives. You're giving them something
Yeah.
fun.
Well, it's not bad to have vision. It's not bad to be a good manager, but if you can't pitch, that's a whole ball game.
No, and as you're building this new company, I don't have to tell you, you're putting the pieces together of a puzzle, right? Filling in all those gaps and trying to
Yeah.
make sure that it all fits together, works together. It's not easy, but that's kind of what makes it fun too, if it were easy.
I know we're coming up on the end. Do we have time for one more story?
Sure, hit me.
Back in the 1950s, my mother found a book called Time Motion Study. It's the academic study of things like assembly lines. How do you put things so that you can be efficient? So she was like the original life hacker.
Huh.
And she raised me like that, which is, I think, good, but it also maybe also bad. There was one day in summer camp, they were going to have a competition to see how much red each team could wear. The kids were put into teams. There was a blue team, there's a red team, yellow team, and my mom dressed me in about 30 different red things. We got the red cap and the red medallion and the red shirt and the red, and I thought, I look like a moron, but my team won. So I guess I'm living the benefit of having a mom that just shoved me through and taught me to not be afraid of taking on a giant project. She used to say, somebody has to be the best. It might as well be you.
I love
So
it.
get out there and do it.
Yeah,
And that's
don't
what
be
I
afraid.
suggest when
Don't be
listening.
afraid. Just go for it. Have a goal in mind and go for it.
Especially in America, where our culture is that if you fail, it's fine. You just move on, do something else.
Yeah. Johnny, thanks so much for hanging out with me a little bit. I know you're super busy, a veritable one-armed paper hanger. Appreciate the time. I look forward to seeing you in person.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the great call. It was a lot of fun. Go to the website, see some cool videos with tanks and monkeys and stuff. Goodbye.
Tanks and monkeys. I love tanks and monkeys.
Not at the same time. Different videos.
Yeah, we don't want to give anybody the wrong idea. Thanks for
No,
mentioning.
don't put monkeys on tanks. That's not. I don't support that.
Oh, now we're getting all kinds of other ideas. All right. Thanks for joining the look back.
Ciao.